Hi there, and thanks for joining me. My name is Lisa. Today, I'm going to use my Stamparatus to create a card similar to this. This was my October swap for my team, and it's using the Cutest Halloween stamp set that's in the Holiday Mini from July to December. I just think this is so cute. So that's what we're going to do today. And to make this card, we're going to need, my card base is Gorgeous Grape. So to make my card base, and as usual, I never just make one. So I'm going to score my card base at 4 1/4. My sheet is 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to score it in half at 4 1/4 lengthwise. Making sure not to grab the dark one because this is the cutting blade. I can't tell you how often I've done that. So just be aware. And then I'm going to rotate it and cut it in half at 5 1/2. Okay, and you can square it up just by pushing your cardstock into the edge there. And I'm grabbing my darker blade, which is my cutting blade, and I'm cutting it in half. Next, I'm going to need a piece of basic black, which is 4 by 5 1/4. So line that up at 4. And I can get 2 mats out of this at 5 1/4. There's 1 and there's 2. And don't throw these little bits out because you can emboss a greeting on here using white or gold or silver. So never throw out your little bits. I know it seems tedious sometimes to keep them, but you'll be grateful that you have them at some point. Okay, and then also I need a piece of basic white at 3 3/4 by 5. Now when I have a whole pile of these pre-cut. These are at 4 by 5 1/4. And I typically will order an extra package of paper every so many months and just cut them all down so that I'm ready to go with my card fronts or the inside of my cards because they're always the same size at 4 by 5 1/4. So you can save yourself a lot of time just by putting on a movie and cutting up a whole package of your card stock into your pre-cuts. So I'm going to cut this at 3 3/4 by 5. And there is for the front of the card. And then I'm going to keep one aside for the inside of my card. And you can see it's just a smidgen bigger. I don't know if you have enough light to see that. But it's just 1/4 of an inch all the way around bigger. Okay, so I don't need this for the time being. The next thing I'm going to use is my Stamparatus. So if you don't have a Stamparatus and you're just getting started, it's a really good thing to ask for Christmas. Let me just grab my catalog and I'll tell you exactly how much they are. Okay, so you're going to find your Stamparatus on page 144 in your annual catalog, and in Canada it's $67. It comes with 2 reversible hinged plates. So I've got one here, and what I mean by reversible is that I can pop it off and turn it and use both sides, which you're going to see me do today. And then there's a second one as well. So if you have a lot of elements to your design that you're doing, you can use all 4 if you want to. Now, one thing to remember when you have your Stamparatus is that you don't want to try and store it like this because you can break your hinge part. So when you do store it, you're just going to store it, pop one of the plates off and just store it like this. Okay? And it comes with 2 really strong earth magnets as well. And I've got, I have, what do you call this tape? Duct tape. My friend Doreen is here. She's stamping right beside me. So I've put duct tape on them because they're so strong. If you let them slap together, they break quite easily. So I've got duct tape to make a little handle so that I can actually lift it easily, because boy, they are strong. So I'm just going to store those there for now, and I'm going to get set up to do our card. So this is the card that I made for the swap for the month of October. Isn't that cute? Little Halloween. Oops. A little Halloween card. And I'm going to do one similar, but I thought, why don't I just try one of the other stamps in the set? So I'm going to do this one with little pumpkins. So I don't need this plate right away. Let me get rid of this. So I have my piece of cardstock that is 3 3/4 by, whoop, that's not a good idea, 3 3/4 by 5. And a tool download that I'm going to be using is this offset wreath printout that I downloaded from stamping.tatianacreative.com.au. And she's a demonstrator in Australia, and she has graciously put this template as a free download on her website for anybody who wants to try this technique. Now, I can't send it to you. This is copyrighted property, but you can visit her at www.stamping.tatianacreative.com.au, and I'll have a link in my description, in the video description. And she's very creative. So my own copy I have trimmed and laminated so that if I get ink on it, I can just wipe it off with a baby wipe or my chamois. So today I'm going to trim this, and because of the glare, I was going to use my laminated one, but the glare is pretty bright, so I'll just use the paper one, and I'm just going to trim it. Using my paper trimmer. So if and when you do download it, just give it a trim, and if you have a laminator, you know, just run it through your laminator and then trim off the extra plastic. Or you can take it to Staples or an office supply store, and they probably could laminate it for you. Okay, so I'm going to pop this into my Stamparatus, and it's paper, so if I get ink on it, it's not a big deal. And I'm going to use one of my magnets to hold it in place, if I can get them apart. So I'm going to stick this magnet up here. This page is going to stay stationary, and then my little stamping piece I'm going to rotate starting at number 1. Oh, I want a smaller piece here. I'm just going to put this one away so I don't get ink on it. And I want my piece that's 3 3/4 by, what did I say? 3 3/4 by 5. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little X in the top right corner with pencil that I can erase later, because it's easy to kind of lose your marbles and forget which corner goes into which corner with the numbers. Okay. So now I'm going to use my other magnet to hold this one in place. And now I'm going to, let's see, take my pumpkin. What do I do with my other pumpkin? There it is. So I'm going to place my first pumpkin up here. And when I'm auditioning a design like this, I just pre-cut some typewriter paper or photocopy paper into the size that I'm going to be using, because it's a heck of a lot cheaper than cardstock. And then if it doesn't work out, you can just, you know, pitch it. So, you know, if you're fairly new at this, or even if you're not new at this, I still do it. I audition my stamping. If it's a really new design and I'm questioning my talent, then I just do it on photocopy paper and call it a day. So for my little pumpkin, I'm going to use Cajun Craze as my background. And when you're stamping your ink onto your stamp, which is attached to your plate, you don't want to rock it and get a bunch of ink all over your plate, because what will happen is when you stamp it and you're rotating it, you're going to get ink either on your magnet, which will transfer to your paper, or all over your paper. So there's my first one. Oops, see what I just did? You got to be careful of that too. I just got ink on my plate, which isn't a good idea. Oh, thanks. Doreen just handed me a chamois to clean that off. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, so keep your ink out of the way. And then I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to put this little X onto the number 2. Okay, and I'm going to take my magnet, and I'm going to hold my paper in place. Now, if it shifts, you've got your reference lines. You can just shift it back. Okay, and I'm going to ink up again. And I'm going to move to number 3. If you do download this from Tatiana, you know, be gracious and say thank you. She'll have a little comment section there. So, you know, do thank her for being so generous. I'm sure she put a lot of hard work into creating this to make it work out just right. Little gratitude goes a heck of a long way, especially when a lot of people aren't as giving. Okay, so now I'm at number 5, and I just keep rotating my paper. Now, when you're doing my one that's laminated does slip a little bit sometimes, so you can put a temporary adhesive behind the laminated part and stick it to your the base of your stamparatus. One thing I didn't show you, and I will as soon as I finish with this one stamping part. So now I'm at number 6, lining up my X to the corner where the 6 is this, there is an optional gridded foamy platform. It comes with a piece of foam to lift your stamps, because remember, if you're new to stamping, you may not know this, that the photopolymer stamps don't have a sponge in them, so they're a lot thinner than the red rubber stamps. So if you're using the photopolymer stamps, you do want to use that. There is a foam base that comes with your stamparatus. And then here, I'll just show you, now that I've finished this. Whoop. It does come, this is an optional purchase. It's a plasticized gridded foam base, and that's optional. But it's great. It does come with one that doesn't have the grid on it, but this is a nice addition if you're looking for Christmas gifts, you know, put the word out to your family. There. Okay, so now for the next thing, I'm going to clean my stamp because I don't want to transfer ink to my design that I've already stamped. So I'm going to clean off my plate. With my chamois. And if I was just doing one card, I would peel off my pumpkin and just keep using the same plate. But your stamparatus does come with 2 plates, so I'm going to show you how versatile this is. So I'm going to flip my plate over and put it here, and I'm going to switch to pumpkin pie ink, and I'm going to fill in my pumpkins. Okay, so I've got that situated. Now I want to go back to my corner with the X, And I'm going to pop that back in at number 1. Just like that. Take my other magnet and hold it. And see, I got ink on my inside of my card, but that's okay. I can flip it over, but I'm going to get it out of here because sure as heck I'm going to get more ink on it. All right, so now I'm looking for the inside of my pumpkin, which is here. And you can see on the stamp, well, maybe you can't, but this side has a bit of an protruding little point here, and so does this side of the pumpkin. So I'm thinking that this probably goes there. And you know what? I actually think I have it upside down. Let's see. Yeah, I had it upside down. There, so I've got that lined up, and I'm going to use the other side of my plate to pick up that stamp. And they are a little bit, these stamps are sticky, so you'll have to probably reposition your cardstock. So now I'm going to use pumpkin pie, and I'm going to fill in my pumpkin. Now I think I'd like a little bit more color. You'll notice that I didn't sort of smash my pumpkin into the other pumpkin. You get a nicer finish if you just do it lightly a couple of times. There. It's better. So now I'm going to go to number 2. And same thing. Well, that one turned out okay first time. So number 3. I'll give that one a little bit more ink. Okay, and number 4. I'll move this magnet. Okay, and then off to number 5. And number 6. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to come back to position number 1. And now we're going to put a little face on our pumpkin. Take my chamois, clean off my stamp. Okay, so we're done with this one. So I'm going to take my other plate and put it on. And I'm going to use the Memento Black for his little face. Let's see. So I think we'll use the other mementos there. I think I'll use this little face here. So I'm just going to line it up on my pumpkin. I've got my X in my number 1. So I know that when I set it up, it's going to rotate properly. And trust me, that's a good idea, because when I was doing my first prototype, I had the pumpkins upside down and I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't line up. They do stick to your nails and things, so come on, stay there. Okay, so I'm going to pick up that stand, make sure that my card is lined up. Ugh, these magnets go back in the corner there where you belong. And I'm going to ink it up with my Memento Black. Oops. Nope, that's not going to work. Okay. It moved over. I guess it was stuck to my finger, so I'm going to clean it. My cardstock must have moved. Okay. Okay, there's face number 1. Rotate over to face number 2, and again I have my X in the top left corner so that I know that my pumpkins are going to line up. Matting. Okay, number 4. It's a very fall, rainy day today, so I'm glad to be inside doing some crafting instead of wondering what to do on a rainy day. I think there are some local fall festivals this weekend, and this weather isn't doing them any favors, but okay, so now we're at number 6. There. So there's our little pumpkin face. Just grab my chamois, give that a clean. And let's see, what will I put on here next? Again, I've got my X in my one corner. Make sure everything lines up. I think I'll use the corn candy and put that in Gorgeous Grape. I love purple for Halloween for some reason. I think I like it the way I had it the first time. Okay, and I'm going to flip my plate over. So here's my face on the other side. And I'm going to pick up my stamp, realign my card base. There's our cotton candy, I almost said. Corn candy is something I never developed a taste for. I don't know why. Everybody I know loves it, and I just could not get my head around it. I think it's too sugary. Doreen's making faces here. She doesn't like it either. I'm more of a savory person. If there's something with garlic and Parmesan cheese on it, I'm all in. But I'm not to say that I would turn away chocolate, because I wouldn't. But I'm not a big fan of sweet things. Like if it's for dessert, I would rather have a nice fruit pie or, you know, something like that. or fruit with, I don't know if you've ever tried chocolate balsamic vinegar. I know it sounds very weird, but if you put that on pineapple or strawberries, it's absolutely spectacularly delicious. And in our town, right next to my quilt shop, there is a new olive oil and balsamic vinegar shop coming open in the next short little while. I'm not sure exactly when he's opening. He was hoping to be open by now, but technical difficulties and such. I'm hoping. Oh, I just did that in black. See that? Okay, let's wash that off. And my screen on my computer just went black. I hope that doesn't. So I'm going to close this before I get more black little candies. There's my purple. So I'm going to put purple just in this little corner here. There. Perfect. Okay, so I can clean that off. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about our little balsamic vinegar store. So if you're ever in the Coburg area, he's right on Division in Coburg. There's a little retail industrial plaza there, and he's just down in that little plaza on 884 Division Street in Coburg in Ontario. And it's called the Awesome Olive. And I was in the other day. He's right next door, so we popped in on our way home and managed to sample a couple of his olive oils and vinegars, and they're amazing. And I bought, what was the name of that? Bourbon maple. So I bought a bourbon maple balsamic vinegar. Oh boy, it is so good. So if you're into interesting vinegars, you might want to give that one a try. It is so, so good. Okay, so I only have 2 plates here. So what I'm going to do is I've rotated it now to the other hinge at the top of my stamp apparatus, and that gives me a whole nother area to work with. So I've got my candy is on this side of the plate. My Halloween face for the pumpkins is on this underneath side of the plate, but it's way over here. So I can pick up this little spider, and I'm going to do the spider in Granny Apple Green. So it's this little fellow here. Okay. Sorry about the glare. There's a big, big window right beside me here. So I've got my Granny Apple Green. And I'm just going to ink up my spider, trying not to get too much ink on my plate, which I did get some, but hopefully it won't transfer anywhere. Okay, so that's number 1. Go to number 2. Number 3. Become a little bit darker. And then over to number 4. I'm really impressed by this template. I'm so glad that Tatiana shared it. She did all the math and was willing to share it with everyone. So there's the front of our card. I just think that is so stinking cute. So I'm just going to close this so I don't transfer ink anywhere and clean off my plate. So that's the front of the card. That's how easy it is. And if you were only doing one for a grandchild or something like that, you could use the same plate and just pull your stamps off. But because I was doing several for my swaps, I just did it sort of, what do you call that?
Assembly line.
Yeah, thanks. My brain today, honest to Pete. Assembly line, and so I would do all of the pumpkins and then all of the pumpkin faces and do it that way. Okay, so I can push this out of the way. We don't need this anymore. And I'm going to get my card base, which is Gorgeous Grape. And again, it's 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. And that's going to give me my card base. And I have a piece of basic black that is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal to put that on there. And if you're new and you have trouble lining up your layers, the easiest way for me to do it is I'll put it near the bottom without pressing on it. And I make sure, because my next layer is 1/4 inch smaller all the way around, so I line it up so that my margins on the top, side, and bottom are all the same. And then I can press down and then press it into place, and then that will guarantee that you're pretty straight. If you're not, if you're a little bit off, it doesn't matter. You can lift it off if you haven't really like put it into place and relocate it. If you're new, you might want to use liquid glue because that does allow you some. I'll do this one with liquid glue just to show you. So now I can go ahead and glue this one into place. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do for my sentiment yet. I think I might stamp in here Trick or Treat, maybe in Granny Apple Green. I think it needs a bit more color. So I always stamp before I glue because heaven knows if you make a boo-boo and it's glued, you're stuck with it. So I've got my block and my Trick or Treat. With these photopolymer stamps, it's easier to just put them down flat and then place your block on top of them, because if it's a long one, the shape can distort a little bit. So just let them fall where they may, and then you know that it's going to be flat, and then pick it up with your block. So I'm inking up in Granny Apple Green. And there we are, Trick or Treat. That's so cute. So that worked out okay, and I'm going to glue that into position, and I'll use the liquid glue. When you're using liquid glue, you don't want to be too generous with it because it is liquid. You don't need a lot. There, I just have a little bit there. And the beauty of this Tombow multi-purpose glue is that it sticks really well and it doesn't warp your paper. I never have trouble with my paper warping because of the liquid. Before I started as a demonstrator, I was using just glue from a craft store, and I found that my paper would ripple. You could see exactly where I had the glue. So I'm really grateful for this glue because it doesn't do that. So clean my stamp. Good idea to get in the habit of cleaning your stamps as you use them so that you're never transferring color from one piece of paper to another. And I'm just reaching, sorry for the reach here, looking for my Halloween paper. What did I do with that? Okay, so I'm going to use one of the pumpkins from this really cute Halloween DSP. It's actually called Cute Halloween DSP. So if you bundle it, it comes with this little sweet punch, and the punches actually punch out the little pumpkins, a little ghost, or a little cat. I don't know if I used up all my cats already. Let's see if I have one. If not, I can punch one out. Yeah, I don't see one in there. So I'm going to find a little cat and punch that out for you. just to show you how easily this works. Now I have this punch, and there's 3 punches in there. So when you're punching out, you have to be aware that if I line up my cat, it's going to destroy 2 of my pumpkins, which you don't want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim away a cat. Thanks. And then I'm just going to take a little stick-it note and pop it. Which way is he going? He's going this way. I'm just going to trim that off. And I'm going to put the sticky note on my paper. And then I can slide that into the punch without wrecking my other pumpkins, which I can punch out later. And there's my little cat. Isn't he sweet? And here's a little pumpkin that I punched out and a little ghost. And the little ghost just fits right in here. So cute. There, okay. So this paper is adorable. On the back side of it is all black and white little prints, but this is a beautiful little colored background. Here are the little ghosts that you can punch out, and then you can fussy cut out the other little ghosts. This is the pumpkin and the cat paper, and the back of that is a big black and white stripe, which you can color with markers if you want to use it as a background. That has the corn candy on the bottom. And look at this one with the little Dracula bat. How stinking cute is that? I'll have to do something with those. And that just has a plain black backing. And then the orange and black stripe has a black and white dot. This is still available in the fall mini, the July to December mini. These cute little skulls are adorable, and there's actually a matching stamp with the faces for these little guys. And the back of that one is just a beautiful little stripe. Then this is little houses. You can use this as a background. It's beautiful, so cute. And the back of that is little skulls, ghosts, and pumpkins. I don't know if you can see, maybe it's better if I zoom in. Yeah, a little bit. Cute, eh? With the little bats and stuff. Okay, and then this little pinstripe is so pretty. And it's got just little squiggles on the back there. And that's all of them, but they're beautiful. So don't miss out on these. I know they're very, very Halloween-y, but so, so cute. Oops. So I've got my my little pumpkin here that I'm going to use. Okay, I'll pop my papers over there. All right, so I'm going to put my little pumpkin. I'm just going to pop one little pumpkin up here on dimensionals. This one little dimensional will do. And what can I do? I think it needs a little bit of blingy bling, but what will I put on there? Let's see. I'm going to use the 2123 in color jewels, and I'm going to put little green rhinestones on the butts on the spiders. I think that'll be really cute. So I'm using the, they look kind of red. It's actually the evergreen. So I don't think I'll use that one. I think I'll use, okay, so I was going to use this green, but when I put it on here, it looks pretty red. So I'm actually going to use the soft succulent instead. I think that's going to be a better, yeah, I like that better. So I'm just going to put little rhinestones on the spider's butts. And I'm using the putty end of my take a pick tool. There, how cute is that? You can use anything. If you had little sequins, you could use sequins. Oh my gosh, that is adorable. Okay. And on the inside of my card, I'm going to stamp "Have a Fabulous Halloween." So I've got my basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. And I just had to remind myself that this card is horizontal. I don't often do horizontal cards, but this one, so it's a good thing I remembered. And I'm going to take my stamp and I'm going to line it up. Just let it sort of fall so that it's not crooked when I pick it up. And I always load my stamps on an angle. It just, for some reason, works better for me. And I'm going to stamp this in Gorgeous Grape. Can you hear my cat? She's upstairs wondering where we are. Okay, I'm going to line that up on a line. Is that what you're laughing at? Yeah. And I'm going to pop this kind of in the middle. There, that's pretty straight. I'm happy with that. Okay, so I think it needs a little something in here, so I'm going to grab my spider off of my Stamparatus plate. And where will I put him? Maybe just right there. Put him on a little block here. Look at that. It didn't stamp out properly. Okay, no problem. Flip her over. Let's try that again. Now, if I had that in the Stamparatus, I would have just re-inked it and stamped it down again. All right, so let's do this. There we are. And I'm going to re-ink my little spider. And pop him right there. And there he is. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Stampin' Write marker in Gorgeous Grape and a ruler. And I'm just going to draw a little line like he's hanging from a little spider webby thing. There. Ah, so cute. Can't stand it. Okay, and now I'm going to glue that on the inside. This is the side that we made the boo-boo on the spider, but no biggie. It's only paper, just flip it over. Okay, and same thing as I did before, I'm going to line up my bottom and my sides to make sure that they're equal. And then I know that my card insert is going to be square. Okay, and then that's why liquid glue is good, because you can wiggle it if you need to, just a little bit. So there's our card. I hope you enjoyed this. Never forget your envelope, which I almost did. So I have an envelope here. What will we stamp on our envelope? Let's see. Yeah, maybe just a little spider. We'll do the same thing as we did on the inside of the card. put one here and one here. And I'll just take my ruler and just draw two little lines. And I'm using the lines on my grid paper to give me a straight line. And there's our envelope ready to go. Isn't that cute? And there's our card. Quick and easy. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like, you can also hit the like button. I won't mind. And have a great rainy Sunday afternoon, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks for joining me.